Right, we are live as usual. LinkedIn hasn't worked because I'm not allowed to yet. Right, going to give it a few minutes, just to give it about 30 seconds to a minute for people to jump in. Once, if you come in and you can hear me, just send me like a little thumbs up or let me know you can hear me okay. And then I will get Ian in. What we're going to do, I'm interviewing my client Ian. Ian came to me. We were just chatting. It was back this January. It feels like such a long time ago because of the year that we've had. But it was back January of this year. Worked with me for about 3 months and achieved this. So I will put up let's see if I can do it. He did this, which I'll bring up later on as well when people are on. This was his transformation over actually slightly longer than 12 weeks. So I'll talk about that in a minute. So we're going to interview him today, same as I did with last week, the week before last with Simon. Just to get some insights, really. Some of the stuff he's done is pretty cool. He's not my typical client. He's done like an Ironman and some other stuff with. He's got some different goals that are different to me. So I'm looking forward to hearing how what we did together has actually benefited him. So I'll bring him in now, and he's in. Hello, Ian.
Hi, mate. All right.
How are you doing? Thank you for doing this.
No problem at all.
Taking the time to do it. Right, I just introduced you, and I've basically just said, we worked together back in January. I like I said, I couldn't remember. It feels like a long time ago now. Let's talk about I like to start with these interviews the same because all the people that are watching are going to be typically the same as you. You know, maybe have tried diets, failed, or maybe have been struggling for many years, and you're sitting there, not even a year later, having done what hopefully a lot of them want to do. So let's just talk about in January. Where were you? What was you struggling with? And just briefly, maybe I remember when you first come to me, I think you said you've been struggling for about 15 odd years. So what's the kind of backstory in terms of how you've been with sport, exercise, fitness, and your weight, which led you to me, chatting to me?
Yeah. So I'll go back sort of 14. It's about 14 years since I left university. So when I was at uni, I was sort of very sporty. Played a lot of badminton. Played badminton for the county. Used to do tournaments around the country. Played for the uni, all that sort of stuff. So I left university in pretty good shape because I was doing a lot of training. So I then continued to play badminton for about 6 months or so, and then I got a really bad injury. Actually playing badminton, I dislocated my left knee. So it sort of put an end to that side of things. So from there, it was just like a bit of a cycle, really. I put a bit of weight on. I'd maybe try and catch myself, lose a little bit, stop, put a bit more weight on. I might get back into a bit of sport for a bit. This sort of went on for, like I say, the next sort of 12, 13 year. But overall, basically, my weight just went up. Although there was the odd sort of peak and dip and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was basically an upwards trajectory. Overall, kidded myself, all the excuses under the sun. I'm not too bad. Maybe it's a lot of it's muscle because I had quite a physical job. Right. I was a builder. I used to do plastering, all that sort of stuff. So that was a good story I used to tell myself. I'll just say it's just me getting older. That's what happens, all that sort of stuff. So this went on for 13 years, and then it got to a point where it was 2 years ago. I was the heaviest I'd ever been. So I'm only a short horse. I'm only 5'8" or 5'9" on a good day.
Hey, I'm only 5'6".
I know. So yeah, I hit I was just under 15 stone on the scales, and
it's heavy if you haven't got the muscle right.
And as much as I wanted to kid myself, it wasn't muscle.
Yeah.
So the pain of just this was exactly 2 years ago. We were on a holiday in Centre Parks with the family, so we were going to the pool every day, all that sort of stuff. And the pain of having to look at myself in the mirror and the way I felt. Just felt like I looked like shit, feeling lethargic, all puffy around the cheeks and big bags under the eyes and all that. Just was too much. So I basically reached out to a guy called Paul Moore. I was wanting to change my mindset at the time. We just talked about how sort of mindset and being healthy and fit. They sort of go hand in hand. But I decided to sign up for it. I decided to do something drastic, so I decided to sign up for a charity boxing match. So this was a couple of years ago. So I signed up, made myself really accountable, signed up for a charity, posted on Facebook what I'm going to do and all that sort of stuff. And I lost 2 stone in about 3 months just training for this boxing match. So I did the boxing match, great, thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought I'm going to have to sort of continue giving myself a bit of a goal so I can continue with the training and hopefully lose more weight. I was over the moon. I lost 2 stone, so I was down into sort of just under 13 stone, 12.9, 12.10. But from there, so I did some triathlons, I did some other stuff, some swims in the Lake District, some different runs and stuff. I was getting into the fitness. So for that sort of 12 months, although I was really into the fitness, my weight just wouldn't shift from sort of roughly 12.5 stone. It just wasn't going anywhere. So I'd plateaued basically. And I then got really frustrated again because I was doing all this training. But not.
How much were you doing at that point?
Well, I might be doing a couple of runs a week. I was swimming twice a week. I was in the gym doing bits and bobs in the gym. I was on the bike, so I was getting into the triathlons.
Yeah,
I was like swimming, biking, running. I was doing a moderate amount of exercise.
Enough to be like, that's what I always feel frustrated for guys that go through that.
Yeah,
because it's not like you're laying on the sofa every night drinking beer and watching Netflix. You're genuinely working hard.
Yeah,
and getting fitter, and not seeing the body change. It must have been frustrating.
Yeah, it was really. I was getting fitter, and felt like I was getting fitter. Could run longer, bike longer, and all that sort of stuff. I was getting good at the swimming, but so that was like I did 12 months of that, and then it got to the January again, and I just thought I'm gonna have to do something about this because it's getting too frustrating. I wanted to like. I knew I had that extra weight to lose, so that's when I contacted you. So that was a year ago, nearly.
Yeah.
And we had that phone call, and I came on your program, and then that was the point where, for me, like I really started getting into the shape I wanted to get into.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But what kind of diets had you tried then, up until the point when we met? Because obviously, at the end of the day, you're training hard, so it doesn't take a rocket science to understand that the diet is probably the missing factor. But right back when you had those 14 years and you were yo-yoing, what kind of things did you try over that period of time?
So I tried a few things. I tried going vegan. I managed that for about 3 months. Did lose a little bit of weight, but you can be a vegan and eat chips and crisps and all that sort of stuff.
What made you choose the vegan diet out of interest? You probably have told me in the past, but
I've just had a friend who was well into it. He's still well into it, to be fair. And he just sold it to us, and I thought I'd give it a try. I tried it's a paleo or the Atkins diet where I tried that a long time ago. My idea of a diet though was basically cut out everything that I enjoy and just see how long my sort of willpower can last.
Yeah, just try and man up and get on with it.
Well, yeah, or increase the exercise.
Yeah,
like just keep increasing the exercise and hoping that's gonna.
And a lot of people do both, and it's actually harder. You're gradually increasing the exercise, gradually getting more. The calories get lower. You're actually starting to crave a bit. You're starting to, and I refer to this at the time. I've talked about it in my book, but at some point you just get to what I call the fuck it moment.
Yeah.
And you look and you think it would be so bad if I looked fucking excellent, but normally you look in the mirror and go, I'm not even like doing that great, and like I hate the lifestyle I've got. So what's the point? Is that what you experienced as well? Points where you just like fell off the wagon.
It's exactly what I experienced. I mean, I don't think my willpower is particularly good. I might get a week or two out of doing that, and then I've just slowly thought, fuck it, I'll have a pizza tonight.
Yeah.
And then once you've had that, you think, well, what's the point? Like, I'll just try and be a little bit better than what I was. Before you know it, you just straight back. You might lose a few pounds, like water weight, whatever. Closed off, feeling a little bit slacker again. But then before you know it, you're back. You're probably heavier than what you were.
And you're just making the same mistake. Yeah, exactly. And you're just doing the same. Anyone watching this or anyone that watches this, anyone I speak to, it's always the same thing. It's they choose a diet because it may be due to good marketing, or a friend said it was the best thing to do. And, you think, okay, I'll try it. And then it doesn't align with preferences or, we'll go into like your job and stuff, business owner, but it doesn't align with everything. And then before you know it, I had a client come on a few months after you think, and he had done the this isogenics thing where you have like a supplement and then there's like 2 days of fasting a week, and he somehow managed to sustain it for 2 years. But and I was like, that's epic willpower, but he was never going to do it any longer. And obviously the same thing, he'd also plateau, so he had this double whammy of like, I'm busting my ass, I hate my life, but I'm not getting it. So that's what you had.
Well.
Sorry,
I tried fasting as well. I'd spend hours like not looking on the internet trying to find like solutions, and it's just like,
no, that's a good point. Actually, I didn't talk to Simon about that. What is it like to go onto the internet and just, because I talked about it in an email once. I think I typed in mostly work with men. I think I typed in men over 50 or men over 40 fitness or weight loss, and you get something like 500 million hits on Google.
I know.
What's it like trying to find information like that on the internet?
Well, I think it's just a minefield, isn't it? It's like overwhelming because there's just so much of it out there, but most of it's crap. Like, like how to lose such and such, how so many stone in 6 weeks, how to get great abs and all.
Yeah, it's very gimmicky, isn't it? It's quite. I mean, I always say like the stuff I teach you, and we'll talk about it in a minute. It's not sexy, but to make a lot of people jazz things up by doing these kind of articles. I remember falling it when I was a younger teenager, like by men's muscle and fitness, add an inch to your arms in 12 weeks, that kind of thing. Yeah. God, if that was true, I would have had 20-inch arms by now. So you just made so anyone listens, it's just the same thing. It's like the same common problem is that the information is there is a ton of shit out there. I've been talking about it a lot lately because I've joined a few Facebook groups and it just inspires me. There's a ton of shit out there. There are sadly a ton of trainers also talking nonsense. But then even if you were to somehow rid all of the bad information off Google and leave pure information, it's a bit like with business. There's so many things that do work. And if you don't pick one thing to stick to, you kind of go for the new shiny object every 5 minutes. You kind of, you end up jumping from one program to the next and you just never give anything time because there's almost too many options. And that's the problem. Even if you take away the stuff that's bullshit, you still got to somehow find what works for you, and that's what hopefully we'll talk about that now. So when you come into my program in January, I'm going to put the picture up now so people can see me trying to use like fancy technology. So it's come up now. That's the picture. How much are you weighing on the left there? Do you remember?
So that was me at like about 12 stone 9 pounds. Yeah,
you think that's you at 12 stone 9, but you've been as high as 15.
I'd already lost over like 92. Yeah, I'd already lost a couple of stone.
Yeah, it's a very typical story that I get. It happens with quite a few clients that they come to me having lost some and then they get stuck. And I always say there's a lot of problems that people have with fat loss. Either they can't, let's say you need to lose 100 pounds, like my client Simon did, they'll probably fail at 10 or 15. Or if they do get to their goal, it's not sustainable. So you've done you've had some success, but by no means, of all due respect, is that person on the left fit look, and then on the right, and I remember this is like I didn't even realize you're going to do this photo shoot. I think that was like was that a last minute thing? You just decided to do that? I can't remember what the.
I promised a few people I would. I promised myself as well. I'd make myself that little bit more accountable by booking a photo shoot and posting it in a group that I'm in. So I had to do it. So that was just a little bit of extra accountability for us.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it. I say to a lot of clients, it doesn't necessarily have to be like yours. Like, was that because did you just do fitness, or did you have some other photographs that were more professional? I can't remember. Did you actually, was that a pure fitness shoot?
Yeah, I had a load of them. Yeah, I did a load of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I think I'm going to do one myself. It's a good way to do it. And even I said to like Simon, it doesn't have to be a fitness shoot. You could, if you're a business owner, a lot of my clients are business owners. It could be like just hire someone to do some new photographs, like new headshots for LinkedIn. Yeah. Yeah, like, something that makes you have the date in the diary. So you come into the program in January. What's the first thing that sticks out that's different?
So the first thing that sticks out different is there was a load of stuff. It was, and I'm not saying it's easy or simple, but you just sort of simplified everything for us. If that makes sense. And like, so it's basically like a calories in, calories burn thing, isn't it? Like if you eat too many more calories than you burn, you're going to put weight on.
I think what people don't get when they follow just like a vegan diet or a keto, if you choose any diet like you've done in the past, and most people do, even Slimming World to some extent, you don't really get the strategy. Whereas you just kind of get this kind of, I'm just going to eat healthily. And I get a lot of guys say, they actually eat quite healthily. I read an article yesterday of a guy that would go up to like 135 kilos.
Yeah.
And he actually didn't like junk food, but then he basically was eating this salmon dish 3 times a day. And when he worked it out, that salmon dish had 1,500 calories, like a day's calories. And so what we did when you came in was go, okay, let's go back to basics. The most important thing is the caloric intake and the deficit.
Yeah.
And then, getting the protein right and going from there.
Yeah. So the big thing for me was you introduced me to tracking calories, which is obviously made like a massive part of it. And like what you just said there, you might think you're sort of got a healthy diet and all that sort of stuff, but if you're getting stuck into a big thing of salmon, but there's 1,000 calories in it, it doesn't matter. So the tracking was a massive thing. Just getting used to tracking all my calories. I remember you put us on I think we agreed about 2,400 calories.
Yeah, I think so.
A thing for me was like when I worked out what I could eat in the day to make up those calories, I was really surprised. I was thinking, well, and a little bit sort of like, is this actually going to work? Because I can get quite a lot of food in, 2,500 calories.
Simon said the same last week because he's a bigger guy. He started off at 3,400 and he actually finished his diet after a year of dieting with more calories than he would have started himself, which is quite interesting. What was it like and I guess one of the most common things with dieting is, which makes it more difficult, is most people go in with the calories too low and they get hungry. I can't remember, you didn't experience any hunger for a while.
So there was the tracking, the calories that you set us on, and obviously we increased like the protein intake, which keeps the hunger away. So those are 3 sort of really big insights for me. And so that was it. Increase the protein, and that I didn't experience. I've never really experienced like the hunger pains, or I just haven't, because it's.
I think if you could take away the hunger and the restrictiveness of diets, which we'll talk about because of the skip load and stuff, and you can make a diet, like you said, it's not necessarily easy, but compared to what people believe dieting, fat loss, weight loss, physical fitness is going to be like, it's so much easier because no one wants to. Like you said with the vegan, even if you said to me, Phil, you spend the rest of your life as a vegan, you could be a pro bodybuilder, I wouldn't do it. Like I just don't care enough to do it. But what was it like? Was it good to be? What was it like from a freedom point of view? Because was it easier to do with, because you're a business owner, right? You can't have like a set day. What was it like? What was it like having a bit more freedom?
Well, that sort of calorie allowance I think it's a really good way of doing it, because it's very flexible. If you can eat, so sometimes you have really busy days where I had to grab stuff on the go. All I had to do was make sure it fitted in with my calorie allowance, or if I was going out one night a week and I knew I was going to go for a meal or something like that, you taught us to sort of budget. So maybe the day before I'd eat slightly less, knowing that the following night I was going to have an Italian's or something like that. So I love the sort of flexibility with the diet. It wasn't like you must eat such and such first thing in the morning, then you're going to have a meal at 10 o'clock and a meal at 1 o'clock. It was like, just do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
But these are your calories.
That's the one way I did it in the past, and I know I joined another coaching program recently, which is for fitness people. So I'm now for the first time in a Facebook group with loads of personal trainers, and I was quite surprised that a lot of them still do it as a meal plan. And so for some people it might work, but that's how I used to do it. It was like, I'd sit there and write it out. 6 a.m. your breakfast is going to be 3 eggs, some oats, and some blueberries. This much. Yeah. But which may work for somebody who has a 9 till 5. But even then, I found in the past, and we're talking, I did that. This is more than a decade ago. Yeah. Even then, those people would then, like a week later, on board of the meal plan. But you got a good point. Like, most of my clients are, and a lot of people watching this will be, either business owners or just busy, fathers, just basically have normal busy lives. Maybe it hasn't been so much this year because of COVID. And it's nice to be able to just move calories about, save some for a night out, And like you said, just be able to, back in the day when people did diets that are super strict, you couldn't just, that people would feel guilty about grabbing a sandwich in a service station, for example. Whereas now it doesn't have to be that strict.
Yeah, I remember talking to you quite early on. You actually said to us, like, Ian, you're overcomplicating it, just because I was expecting you to give me meal plans and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. It's just the way I've gone to teaching it. And the idea with that is allow people to create their own diet plans, so that when I finally say, take care, see you soon, there's an understanding, and we'll go into that. But it's more of I'm trying to teach people the fundamentals, the basics. Yeah. And then that's what I did with you, right? And then you just created your own meal plan based on when you want to eat, what foods you want to eat. Yeah.
So you give us all the information, all the info that I needed with regards to how much protein I need to be getting. Not worrying too much about the sort of fats and the carbs, but just make sure you get that protein in, make sure you stick to your calories. And then I went away and just followed the process basically.
Yeah, and then what that meant is, I guess, like you said before, you said you're not very good at willpower. How easy was it to stick to compared to what you were doing prior?
I found it quite easy, especially because the diet wasn't restrictive. You didn't say, look, listen, I want you to lose all this weight really quickly. I'm going to put you on like 1,500 calories a day. We just, it wasn't restrictive. And I once I'd actually planned everything out, what I was going to eat and what I could eat for that amount of calories, I didn't find it was a problem. I just split it into sort of normally 4 or 5 meals a day. So I never went too long without a meal. And,
but you got to think with those meals are filling. You're able to choose things that you like. You can move calories around for the odd night out. And then we obviously had the weekend with the skip load in. Yeah. When that comes in, what was your first thought when I sent you the what I want you to do? I want you to eat. I can't remember. I never remember how long we started. Normally 4 or 5 hours. But what was it like for someone to say to you, I want you to eat junk food for X amount of time. Don't worry about counting the calories.
Well, so I was actually quite happy. I think I said it. I think I said it as well. I was quite happy doing what I was doing. I think you brought the skip load in week 5 or 6, and I didn't feel like I really needed it then, but I just, like I say, follow the process. I think you said do 3 or 4 hours. So it was like, I was like a kid in a sweet shop for a few hours. Went berserk for, I think Simon said it last week or the week before actually. Just felt like I'd overdone it.
Yeah.
Like shit like that. Yeah. I feel pretty bad now.
We don't count the calories. That's the reason for having the time frame, because the time frame gives you the parameters. If I just said, eat some food when you want, you'd probably do it all day, or you'd graze a bit more. And it's interesting what you said. I remember when I first learned how to do it from Skip, my mentor, it was like, it isn't done. It has a psychological benefit, because if you've been dieting for 5 weeks and I say have a pizza or your favorite meal, that's lovely. You can go on a date night or whatever. You can eat it. But like you said, you didn't feel like you needed it, but actually physiologically, it actually benefits by, get a spike in the metabolism. So what you've got now is, if you could write out like a list of like the old way of doing things or the restricted way, it'd be like, can't eat at certain times, must have a certain meal, this, hunger, restrictiveness. Then and that makes it difficult to do. The way we done it, it's just like calories, protein, move calories around, have the skip load at the weekend. All of a sudden, it takes a lot of the stress out. And like I say, it's never going to be easy, but I tell you what, it's far easier when you can actually, when you're not starving to death and you're actually able to eat the meals you like.
It is, yeah. It's like it's just something to look forward to. So I remember my wife saying, like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm just."
Feels like we eat junk food.
I'm just following the what Phil's telling us to do, and she was a bit like, I don't quite understand. But then, obviously, weeks went by and we started increasing the amount of time. So the Sundays just got better and better. And better.
And the longer you diet, the more you start to want them. I know a lot of people when they first start you've got a situation where it's so counterintuitive, you're almost scared to do it, but you don't need it. But once you've been dieting for quite a long time, because also that leads us into talking about the training, because most of my clients just want to lose weight, so we're cautious with the cardio, cautious with training. But you were actually training for an Ironman.
I was, yeah.
So we had a little bit of a greater demand. We needed to make sure that we, and this is complicated because, at the end of the day, you want to you got to try to find a balance between, are we in a big enough calorie deficit to lose a couple of pounds a week, but at the same time, are we giving enough carbs to make sure that your performance goals aren't jeopardized? Because otherwise, from a bodybuilder point of view, we can, apart from maybe strength, we're not worried about doing any endurance stuff. I don't need to keep my speed, or I need to be able to run. But you had some goals that almost contradict dieting. How did you find your performance though? I remember you hitting. Did you hit some PBs at the time? I can't remember if that was you.
So my performance actually improved. Even on the not restricted with the calories, but even on that calorie intake. But when I sort of, because I think I stopped working with you in the March, so even after that, my training, levels of training intensity increased. So I had to sort of increase calories on certain days where I was doing like long training sessions. But
yeah,
I still wanted to strip the weight because I knew it would benefit.
Did you feel confident doing that on your own, knowing I wasn't there to support? Because it's I was chatting to a guy on the phone. I said this in Simon's interview, but a few weeks back, and he had I can't remember who they are. I wouldn't probably call that even if I did. But he had a coach he was using, and he asked the guy. He said, "I want you to explain something to me." The guy turned around and said, "We don't give that kind of information out because it's bad for business." He literally said, "It's like, basically, I'm not going to tell you how to do it because I want you to stay with me." My approach is different. I mean, I'm more of a kind of, I want to give people the tools to do it. How was it going off on your own? And because you carried on dieting after we went our separate ways.
I didn't feel like I was on my own because of the stuff that you give us. I've still got it now, so I've got all the information that I need for different, whether I want to do like a muscle building phase or go back to a fat loss phase.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I literally, my program includes it's 12 weeks of video content and a couple of hours each time, or an hour and a half. It's quite a lot of video content. So again, the reason for that was to be so you never have to go back into Google. What I've done is taken the science and my experience and put it into video content, so you can delve into that instead of thinking. So now that was the reason to do it, was to make sure that clients who had invested in my program and who put their trust in me not only achieve their goals, but they could go on to carry on if they wanted to carry on, or if they achieve their goals in 12 weeks or how long they're with me, they just never got fat again. That was my biggest concern. Really, I think that really helps having those resources to go back into.
Well, yeah. So I didn't feel like I was totally on my own because I had all the resources to go back to, but I also knew that I'd learned from you that if I wanted to lose weight, I need to be in a calorie deficit of sort of 300 to 500 calories a day. But I knew that if I was going to do like a 10-mile run and burn an extra 1,000 calories, then maybe I need to take on maybe an extra 6 or 7.
And that could be to have that level of confidence to do that is quite hard, because you've got to be confident that you could, you're now making decisions that are analytical, but having that skill is really important now, because like you said, for the rest of your life, you're going to understand the fundamentals of sports nutrition, to be like, okay, do I want to lose body fat? Do I want to gain muscle? Do I want to maintain? Do I add a bit more calories for a certain phase in my training? It's a super cool skill to have.
It is, and it's probably the best. It's one of my biggest insights, because, like you say, when you're tracking everything and you're tracking your measurements, your weight, your calories, you can start to dictate how much weight you're going to lose by the end of the week, because because you track for so long, you know how your body's going to react to it. Yeah,
that's a good key. I think you start to everyone's different, but if you track for long enough, you start to see, and same with the skip loading, you start to see the patterns. You gain X amount of weight, it drops off by Wednesday, you come down by Friday. You start to see these patterns, and you can't have that level of control if you're just doing it how most people do, which is just to wing it. And that is you get someone you get most men to give you their strategy. The best they're going to probably say is, I'm going to go to the gym a bit more, I'm going to run, and I'm going to eat clean, healthily. That's as far as it goes. Whereas, like you said, what that means is, by having all that data, is a lot of my clients are business owners. They run their businesses in this kind of data-driven arena. And then when you say to do it for their body, they're like, oh shit, I hadn't even thought about it, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. It's so easy. Like MyFitnessPal, you can have everything on there. You can track your calories, you put your progress, your weight progress, your photographs on there, and
it's super easy now.
It's so easy. So
Let's talk about what you've done since we last spoke. How was it doing? Tell everyone about your Ironman, because I think it's fascinating that you did it pretty much on your own.
So I had an event booked, an Ironman distance triathlon, which obviously got cancelled because of the coronavirus. But I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to do one anyway.
I think that says a lot, mate. Sorry to interrupt, but I think that says a lot, the fact that you trained for it, because a lot of people, once they lost that date, would have said, "Fuck it."
Well, I know people who had stuff lined up and they just thought, like, I'll just leave it next year now. But so I signed up with a charity, I raised money for charity, and I just thought I'm going to design my own course up here in the northeast. So I set the date. It was the same date as the event was supposed to be on anyway. So I kept the date the same because that worked with my training plan. So yeah, I went up to a place called Cullercoats, which is on the coast. So I swam there, swam 2.4 miles in the sea. There's like two piers next to each other. So I just swam in between them, had my watch on. So as soon as I hit 2.4 mile, got out, got on the bike, had a massive loop all the way around the northeast, 112 mile on the bike. So my dad helped us. He was like pit stop every few times just to fill up with food and stuff.
Yeah. And
then I got back to Cullercoats, which is where I started. And then I ran 13.1 mile up the coast, turned around, ran back. And it took us about 12 and a half, between 12 and a half and 13 hours.
Jesus.
And
what is a typical Ironman normally take? I know it probably changes. But...
My aim was to do it in 12 hours.
Nice.
That's a reasonable time. If you were to do an event, you would have had to have finished it within 17 hours, I think.
Nice. We could argue, could be at least at an event, you've got the adrenaline of the people around you. And how was it doing it on your own? Is it quite like, I said to you before we started recording, it's like when you do stuff on your own like that, it's like the battle with the voice in your head.
It was tough, very, very tough. The run was absolutely horrific.
Could you have done that before we lost the weight?
No, so absolutely not. 2 years ago when I started, I remember when I went training for the boxing match.
Yeah,
I tried to go for a run and I literally had to stop at the top of my street. Like it was absolutely it was a mess.
Great.
Like yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
And then when I started with you, I had done some triathlons, some like standard distance triathlons, which were a lot shorter. But I knew I had to lose. I knew I had to lose the rest of the weight and also build a bit of strength and stuff to be able to sort of like get through it.
Do you think you'll ever get fat again?
No.
There you go. Because like I said to you, like that's the thing I want is like is just people to go away and be able to do it forever.
Yeah.
It's a
lifestyle.
Yeah.
My sort of my diet and the way I do it. You don't have to do like extreme events. Like you don't have to do anywhere near that. That's just.
I think it's nice. Like I just like give you the like basics, the science, and then obviously at the beginning support and accountability as well, because you need to build momentum. But then what clients like yourself have done and Simon have done and all the others I've worked with, just take that information and mold it into something they can do. You've chosen to do triathlons, you've done some other, the Ironman, and you've just, you've got yourself into a position now where I say this, something quite serious would have to go wrong for you to stop it now, because it's not easy, but it's fairly easy now.
Yeah. But you even teach a diet break, so it's important. Like I gave myself a bit of break, went on holiday during the summer. I stopped tracking and just sort of, I was conscious about what I was eating and stuff, but I had a bit of a break, and then you just get back on it, and then.
But that's a good point, actually. The idea that you appreciate that, like your understanding now is that you're not always going to be dieting. The most problem with most men is they never really achieve their goals, so it probably feels like they're always dieting. For you now, you've got this point now. What are your goals now? What have you got on the cards with regards to maybe two separate goals? Have you got goals for your body, and what goals you have for like performance, running, that kind of thing, if at all?
Yeah, I've got goals. Yeah, so I'm in the middle. I did start a sort of strength building phase. So wasn't too concerned about being in the calorie deficit. I'm trying to build a little bit of muscle. I don't want to get huge and muscly. That's not my goal, because I love doing the endurance stuff.
Yeah, you can't be carrying like all that weight if you're going to be a.
But I also don't want to be like a skinny little, like, I don't want to be skinny. So I'm in the. I just thought over the winter, I said I'm going to do a lot of strength stuff. Try and build lots of core strength. Try and build a little bit of muscle, but try and keep the definition there. So that's what I'm doing, or was doing, until the gym shut. But it's open now, so I'm back on it now. But I do stuff at home, but obviously it's harder. But I've set myself another challenge next year in September, which is even bigger than the last one. So that's
nice.
Early on in the year, I'm probably going to start training for that again.
Nice. It's good that you just got the the ambition to do it, the skill to do it, and the knowledge to just be able to flip between these goals. Like, it's smart, like, to be able to say, right, especially with COVID, there's less events, I can build on my strength, and at some point next year I'll bring the body fat. You're not going to get super fat, you're going to have to gain a little bit to gain muscle, and then you'll go back into the training for the event next year. And what you've got now is just this fluid, like, you can just change, mate, and it just doesn't get boring. You've got understanding to do it, which is super cool. How was it? I also want to cover really just quickly. It's like, it's just goes to show you don't have to just hit the gym to look good. Like you did swimming, running. You've done some boxing. It's been quite varied. Okay, it shows that, because I had a guy yesterday on the phone. He was like, I get this a lot. Most of the guys I'm talking to are 40 plus, 50 plus. So they often say, am I going to have to go running? And I'm like, no, if you don't want to. So it's been quite. Again, same as a diet. It's been tailored to your. Yeah,
that's a really good point. Like, you have to enjoy, whether it's the diet. So I enjoy the way my diet is now, and I think you have to enjoy your training as well. So yeah, you don't have to run. You could you just have to get more steps in. Or I just like the variation. I like doing a bit in the gym. So if I'm going to go in and do strength work, doesn't have to last for hours. I'm normally in and out within 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah. How was it? Because when I put the picture up again, I always laugh, and I know this is just like everyone's first picture. When I look at you on the left there, I see this quite like it's almost like quite geeky dad bod looking guy. Now on the right, like now you like all of a sudden you look more, I don't know, for lack of a better term, more masculine, manly. I know that's probably going to offend people. How has changing your body, not necessarily getting a six pack, but just being leaner, like you said before, going on holiday and being embarrassed about being overweight, how has this change affected you in your life and things like business? Has it had a positive effect, apart from just being able to wear nice clothes and stuff and run?
Yeah, it's had a massive effect. So the obvious one is confidence. So I just feel a lot more confident. But when I first spoke to you, my big thing was I've never been confident, like taking my top off when I'm at the beach with a family. When I go swimming with them, I always used to be embarrassed, and not that I know nobody cares, but like I cared. So,
but if I always say it to people, no one cares, but if you care, it's a big deal. Like,
so there was that side of it. I remember when I first spoke to you, one of your big points that you're trying to make was like, what you're gonna need a very powerful why, and that's going to really help you. So mine's changed a little bit, but it's all about my kids now, and like setting an example for my kids. I want to inspire them, and like I want them to be trying to keep up with me, not the other way around.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. And also what I like, and I don't know, I haven't got kids, but I like the fact that for you and the likes of my clients that work with me, that because you've been taught the basics, you've not been just provided with a diet plan, you've been taught nutrition. Yeah. I will go on record as saying what I teach my clients. I know there are personal trainers that don't even know that, who are qualified. That's the level of detail. Not that I wouldn't say it's overly complicated, but you do know enough. Is it quite nice to know that you, within reason, you can't control what your kids do, but it's good to have that knowledge to pass on to them in the future. Because
the modules are great. Like I used to look at the modules through on every week, and like you say, you've got them. I've got them for life now. So. But yeah, just that knowledge that you get, yeah, just to pass that down to your kids. And just from
it's a bit cliche, isn't it? Knowledge is power, but it's a bit cliche, but it's true because, like you said, you can pass it on. Had a guy who's doing it with me now who's in the program, but it's just shown the modules to his wife, so his wife's losing weight. It's like, it's cool for me personally to be able to have more of an impact on elsewhere.
Jill, my wife's lost a lot of weight as well, so she started tracking and doing a bit of the diet and sort of eating what I'm eating on a night time, and she started getting into exercise. So it's had like massive benefits for the whole family. Really, the kids have started running a bit. Yeah,
that's cool to hear. Like, like nothing worse than seeing a overweight family. When you see the parents, you think, God, the kids are going to have. The parents may have only been overweight in their adult life, but these kids are now growing up at like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah,
and may have a whole life of it. How's it affected? Is it improved from a business point of view? How's the confidence and stuff? Is it helped? Has the energy helped? That kind of thing?
Energy is unbelievable. So when I think back to the way I was, like I'm completely different. I've got endless amount. I've got energy, like loads of it. Love training. Never have a problem going out training. I'm just like completely different, really. Totally.
Do you still train when you have busy days? Are you still like got that energy to be like, and you just go and get it done? It's not like you make it as an excuse. Because a lot of guys watching this are going to be busy, right? They're going to have kids and they're going to use it as an excuse.
I mean, that's like that was my number one excuse always. Busy business, kids, which is it's not an excuse. Like if you kind of find half an hour, 45 minutes to do something, then it's I always get it in somehow. Even if it's a walk, if I really can't be bothered to go to the gym or go for a run, like I'll go for a 45-minute walk.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I'm going after this interview. I'm going to walk the dogs for half an hour. I think it's for my mental health and clarity. It's just nice to get out.
Yeah,
clearly, it doesn't always have to be like smashing PBs in the gym or on the road. Sometimes just for those watching this, especially if those are watching, people that watch this are quite overweight. You'd already lost a bit of weight, who are mobility's a bit poorer and they're a bit fearful of the gym. Just go out for a walk for half an hour. Just start tracking your calories, and it'll make a big difference. At some point, you'll feel fit enough to take it to the next level.
But yeah, confidence is the biggest thing for me. Confidence in the energy levels. Yeah, huge.
I think that you just can't until you do it. You can't really. I remember John saying to me like when he first went from he had quite a similar story to you, and he actually had quite a similar start picture. He's just it's not morbidly obese or obese. He's lost a bit of weight and he's just squishy. We laugh about, and then he's got a six pack on the right. And he said, like, if you could have put me in this body for a day and give him, so I knew what the confidence and energy, I would have probably paid you like fucking 20 grand. Because like you can't until you're there, you can't quite appreciate how cool it is. And a lot of the people watching this, the problem is a lot of the guys who I work with have been struggling all their life, and it's so hard for them to even believe it's possible. Yeah. Did you ever have a phase before that there was a lack of belief, like I'm always going to be overweight, or I'm never going to do this, it will never happen for me?
Yeah, I totally resigned myself to the fact I always had a picture on my phone of when I left university.
Wait a minute, I'm never going to do this. No, my phone is connected, or something's connected to Alexa. There we go. Typical. Sorry. You can tell this is live.
I had a photo. I've still got a photo on my phone of when I was at university, when I had my top off at the beach, and I've always thought, like, I wonder if I could get back to being in that sort of shape. But then I just resigned myself to the fact that it was never going to happen. But I've ended up getting into even better shape than what I was back then. So
that's a bit super cool. When guys, because how old are you? How old are you?
I'm 36 now.
Yes, but it's still cool when you're, because it's 36, John's in his 50s, but there's no reason why we couldn't be sitting here in 20 years with the same, hopefully the same thing. Is like you're actually in better shape now than you were in your 20s, and no reason why you actually could not be better, because you could argue that if you can gain some muscle and strength and make that's better than it was, which is super cool, man, because there'll be a lot of people watching this who are, like I said, just have them. It does start with mindset. You do really need to trust that I think you need the belief in yourself. Are you willing to be committed? You evidently were committed because you're actually doing the exercise already. It's kind of like you just needed to diet. And then just a trust in, not necessarily me, but trust in a coach and a process. I think you hit the nail on the head a couple of times. You said, even when your missus said, why are you eating junk food for a skip load? You're like, I'm just doing what Phil says. And John says the same, just do what they say, do what an expert says.
Yeah, she's still the same on it every Sunday. She's like flabbergasted at what I can put away.
I sometimes look back. Have you tried tracking it on MyFitnessPal before? Have you ever put it all in?
Funny enough, I tracked most of it last week, and it was
where did you get to?
I got up to about 8,000 calories or something ridiculous like that.
My best is 15,000.
But I didn't track everything. I couldn't remember what I'd. I was trying to remember what I'd eaten, and it wasn't.
Yeah. It's a super cool story, and it's so familiar. And it frustrates me, but like, we can say, you can go to the gym. You're not always going to like it. I went to the gym today. I didn't want to go. I lifted weights that I didn't want to do, and it's not going to be easy. But you're a good example of someone who has, struggled for reasons that are easily fixed. Doing diets you don't enjoy, maybe doing exercise you don't enjoy, not having a process, and a good example of what can change relatively quickly. And like you said, those who are watching this, nothing I do is a quick fix, but on average, most people are going to lose maybe 1, 2, maybe £3 a week. If you do that over the course of 12, 16, 20 weeks, or like Simon for a whole year, it's amazing what you actually can achieve. And that's still quicker than the 14 years you tried.
That's all it was. I think on average, I lost between £1 and £4 a week. I don't think it was ever anything major, but that's all it was. And it's just constant. It's just week after week after week just builds up. Any
last, because it's probably covered enough now, but really appreciate your time. Any last minute insights or tips? Anything you think that you wish you'd known sooner, or anyone watching this you could think, okay, it would be good for them to do?
So start now. If you're thinking about, if you're serious, like just start.
As you mean literally now, even though it's Christmas, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, well, if you're not serious, well, if you're serious, you would start now, wouldn't you? So, and like one of the biggest things of being part of your program was the accountability. And accountability still, like, I've still got accountability because I'm in some accountability groups and stuff like that. But it was like having to check in with you every week, and I dreaded the thought of having to check in with you to tell you that I hadn't done what I said I was going to do. So like accountability is massive. So if you're gonna do something, whether you're gonna use a coach or not, try and get some accountability. Whether you set yourself a challenge and you make it public, or one of your mates holds you accountable to doing what you said you're going to do. So that's like a massive thing. And
would you say accountability is something people forget? Because I feel like, if someone messages me now and says, what, blah, blah, like, if I did a Q&A, I would get questions like, what's the best protein? What should you eat? Like that. No one would actually say, like, how do I have what's the most important thing? And accountability is probably the most important thing for a lot of people, because they need a reason to do it. I told the story last week about the guy that John knows, who he gave his mate $3,000 while he was in the pub toilet and said, if I don't lose weight in the next X amount of months, you can keep the $3,000. Well, when you got some money on the line, or someone you've got a photo shoot booked, or you've told your mate, anything like that, something that you actually fear not achieving and it's embarrassing, it's powerful.
So I have some sort of powerful accountability there in some way, shape, or form. And the other big thing for me is just, it's got to be like sustainable, something you can do for the rest of your life.
And that comes down to just learning what works for you and just understanding it, really. Put a bit of skin. If you're serious about doing it, put a bit of skin in the game. If you've got to spend a bit of money with a coach, and that'll like. For me, people forget about that. Because the thing people forget, like you're paying, when you take on a coach like myself or anyone, you're paying for the coach's time and expertise and the result. But you're also putting some skin in the game, because most people don't want to lose money. And I always say those people that don't want to spend the money on a coach, who are desperate to do it, either aren't that committed usually. Because a lot of people, truth be told, and this is being honest, like like the money I charge is not like, it's not like buying a house or a Lamborghini. It's attainable for most people if you look at what you waste in a year. I think what happens when people get on the phone with me or go to a coach or anything, it's often a choice of, do I want to spend the money on that versus the holiday or TV? I had a guy at the start of the year, he actually cancelled his holiday and he put the money in to working with me, and then booked the holiday later in the year. I don't know if he probably didn't go on it, because that was January as well, and obviously we've had COVID. But that's a good point. Have some skin in the game really is powerful, because it's like when I booked my competition. I knew I was going to be in X amount of months. I paid for a coach for a whole year, so I put quite a lot of money down. At the time, it was a lot of money for me, but I also knew that on a certain date I was going to stand on stage.
Yeah.
And I told people there was no way I was going to fail.
Yeah.
It's important.
It's like I've always said it. It's like it's an investment in yourself, isn't it? It's
and
like,
if you think about now, like what the things you got from it, and it's hard to be tangible, but you know, being the confident improves your relationship with your wife, probably improves business. Your kids are going to get it's a bargain when you think about how much money you actually spend. Like I said, if I was charging £1 million or like something like an investment, you'd be like, hey, that's a tough ask. But when you think about what people waste on money in, like, you know, especially I had a guy on the phone not so long ago telling me like he spends about $500 a month on takeaway. Like it's
exactly,
you know, it's a choice. It's a choice. You know, I think it's a good point you make there.
Yeah, well, it's like what you say, isn't it? It's like if you could show me a body that I wanted to be like, and you said how much would you charge, how much would I want to pay to be put into that body? I'd be like, well, I'd want to pay a lot of money, but
yeah, it's like if I could invent a pill tonight and I suddenly managed it, I say, okay, how much would you pay me for this pill? Because that's easy and it doesn't require the work. There'll be people that remortgage their houses for that.
Oh yeah.
Because if you could take away the hard work, but still the point is, it's still. I say to a lot of guys on the phone, what is it worth to you? Like, and because it's like we said, because I'm trying to help guys like you do this long term. It is like a good example was like my client Tim. You know, he's had diabetes in his 50s. His kids were only, and I think he's probably watching actually. When he came to his kids are young. I'm probably going to get them wrong, but it's like 8 or 9, but he's in his 50s. Yeah. You know, you can't put a price on living a bit longer when you've got like young kids. So, you know, again, it really comes down to, do you want to do it or not?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. And if you want to do it, just you need to start now. Like,
and most people won't accept. They probably need help. To be honest, it's you know, if you've had a problem losing weight for more than a year or two, if it's like 5, 10, 15 years, chances are you need help. You know, no one would like leave their car on the drive for 10 years because they hadn't learned to fix it. You get a mechanic out to do it. It's the same thing. But it can be quite scary for people, I think, though. I think a lot of people, when I'm on the phone with them, you can tell it's like the last part of the fear. I'm going to put some money down. I'm going to have this guy going to coach me. I'm properly committing to this, and I have to do it. And that's the moment of truth there for a lot of guys. It's like, do I genuinely want to do this right now? And if they do, they get great results, because once you get the help you need and the support, it's normally very, very simple.
But yeah, you're right. And once you put that money down, you think, right, I've got to do this now. And you learn all that. You learn all that like cool stuff, and it sets you up for the rest of your life. So
yeah, I think that's the perfect way to end this. But I really appreciate your time coming on, talking about this. It's been it was great working with you. And another reason why it was nice to talk to you, because I haven't spoke to you for it's been a few months since we ended, and it's good to see, you know, you're still making progress. You're still finding it easy, and like I said, unless something went really, really wrong, I could probably book you in for an interview in 10 years' time, and you'd probably, hopefully, be slightly more muscular, maybe, but you'd be the same. You'd be saying the same thing, you know. It's good to know. But I appreciate that. I'll let you go now, mate, because I know it's getting a bit late.
Yeah, no worries at all. No problem.
Cheers, mate. I'll speak to you soon.
See you later. Bye.
Right, there you go. That's Ian's story. His story is, of course, very similar to a lot of you guys. You know, picking the wrong diets, picking the wrong training, making it, and I know, like we said several times, it's never going to be easy. There's going to be days when you don't want to do it. There are days when I don't want to do it. There are days when I drag myself out of bed and I don't want to go and do cardio, whatever. But the discipline is what helps that. But if you can make it simple for yourself, as simple as possible, and you can start getting results, then those results are going to build momentum, give you the confidence, and they're gonna outweigh the negatives. If you'd like to have some help with this, like Ian's right, if you are serious about doing it, I would start now. I know people are going to be watching this thinking, is it worth starting now, especially if I'm going to go into a program, spend money, whatever. I'm going to lose a few days. Well, really, what you need to do is there's stuff you need to learn. There's nutritional tricks, and like there's strategies you need to learn. There's habits you need to build. I feel like putting it off to January is a bit of a cop out. It's like you're not fully committed. So if you want some help with that, if you'd like to do something like Ian's done, you've been struggling for a while, and you want to, get into great shape, improve your business, have more energy, all those things, be a better role model for your kids, your clients, in a sustainable way, send me a message at some point with the word help, and we'll have a chat. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. And enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm going to leave you there now. There's no questions. Have a look. Anyone got any questions? No. Cool. Well, thanks for listening, and I will speak to you very, very soon. Take care.